So first, I just want to say thank you to everyone I've connected with this week across all cohorts, but especially the YA cohort. Yeah! I sincerely mean this. You're some of the best people I've ever met. So kind, so beautiful, and I can't wait to see the art you put into the world.
We love you.
So this is a flashback scene from my novel, Stars and Other Lights. Falling in love feels like a tilt-a-whirl, like splatter paint, like bugs on a windshield butting into fireworks, guts at the center, legs at the shimmering, peeling ends. It's like jumping out of a treehouse, like the time when I was 12 and I sliced the palm of my hand wide open on a stray nail on the way down. Cass moved to New Hampshire from California. We met at middle school soccer tryouts, and she talked me into following her through the window of a wooden box in the sky. I felt ashamed and wailed far louder than was appropriate for that age. Cass sat beside me on the pine tree brush, and she kept saying, "It'll be okay," and though I hated her in that moment, she was right. At the end of our first semester of college, I went to visit her at FIT, and she took me to a party in a bright white gallery loft where everyone was so hip and so beautiful it stung. Cass wore brand new faux leather pants that I really wanted to touch, and I felt like a middle schooler wearing jeans and a Dartmouth soccer jacket. Every eye in the room flickered over me to make sure I knew being an athlete didn't make you special in any way. Cass introduced me as her friend from high school, and I felt sick every time she said it. There was Daniel in a kilt, Luna with 3 nose rings and a shaved head, and Orion with their hair every shade of the rainbow. They orbited Cass, hung on her every word, and I felt both jealous and justified. I'd wanted nothing less for her, but I wanted that for me too, and I hadn't found it. Her friends drank things I'd never heard of, like 99 bananas and triple sec and Hennessy. I was careful with the liquor, but Cass and I got drunk enough to pretend like we were drunk enough to hold hands on our long walk back through the sparkling, screaming city streets. We swung our arms, we talked too loud, took up space, puffed our breath into the air. She stopped to show me places where she'd met someone interesting or visited a designer studio. Her life was suddenly everywhere, and there were so many people in it, but she was holding my hand. "Most of my friends are fashion goddesses," she said, as we clanged her door open and spilled into her dorm room half the size of mine. But as you just saw, Risa was wearing a straight-up bikini top in fucking December. We kicked our boots off and climbed into her raised twin bed with all our clothes on. We stared at the ceiling with the lights still off. "Maybe she's ahead of our time," I said. "She can pull it off." I felt her legs cross under the blankets, and my heart quickened. "Not much to pull off," Cass said. Her hand reached around for mine, and I moved for her to find it. "Maybe she's actually Aquaman? That would be a good disguise. Or what's the word, alibi? Alter ego?" Her fingers crossed barely. Then she squeezed my hand. My heart played a full-out concert on my eardrums and punched into my ribs. I thought I was going to kiss her, but she let go of my hand, rolled away from me, and faced the wall. "Hold me," she said. I did. I wrapped my arms around her body and felt the heat of her on my chest. Her shampoo smelled like lilacs, and it blossomed in my lungs. We shut up and breathed and stopped pretending. I kissed her hair, she held my hands. We were shaking because of the things in the bed with us. That moment, the heat and the lilacs. That night, the ease and the laughter. 8 years of secrets and kindness, and something else, a sense that we were ruining something precious just because we could. Just because we were careless and young and boozy. Just because we were lonely. There was a knock on the door, and we untangled ourselves quickly. "Cass, it's Risa," a voice said. "Are you there?" "It's after midnight," Cass called back. "Are you okay?" "I got locked out of my dorm again, and I'm cold as balls." Cass sighed and didn't look at me, and she got up and opened the door to flick on the light. Risa came in, clutching her leather jacket closed over her bikini top. "Avery," she said, "I forgot you're here." "I am," I said, and threw my hands up. She looked harder at me on the bed. "Oh God, did I just?" she asked Cass. "No," we both said. "No, not at all," Cass added. I have a sleeping bag," I said, unsure of why I was defending myself. "Good," Risa said. "I cannot fall asleep on floors." Cass looked at me apologetic, but didn't say anything and didn't kick her out. She helped me unfold my sleeping bag and positioned it in the tiny space between the twin beds in case her roommate came back. She climbed into her own bed, where Risa had taken her pants off but left the bathing suit top on, thank God. They fell asleep together. Hot tears pooled on my cheeks, and it took all of my energy to gulp down the sobs that kept bubbling up like vomit. I gathered all of my things and slipped out of the door as quietly as possible. I stood in the city streets, So different from my forest town and evergreen school. I expected, I guess, for Cass to come after me, but she didn't. How could she? She didn't know that I was running down the blocks with open lungs and one last crumpled saw in my chest threatening to expand. Why did I love her? I knew why. She was in the jagged scar on my hand, salt in my eyes. Why had I expected her to be unafraid? This wasn't an ocean or a treehouse. This wasn't city cement or a New Hampshire forest. Falling in love is like you don't ever get to keep anyone. You don't even get to keep yourself. But we jump because in the seconds before the wailing, before the nail, before the forever, forever, forever goodbye, our arms do feel like wings. Thank you.